We had new arcs, first appearances, and brand new series this week for New Comic Book Day. And I have got a massive stack of books to review for you and some beautiful covers to show off. Keep watching this video to hear my top choice of the week and which issue I know you need to be investing in, so stay tuned. Welcome back everyone, AR Comics here, and today I've got some awesome New Comic Book Day books to review for you and some beautiful covers to show off. But before I get into any of that, if you are new to the channel, I drop weekly comic book content, and that includes upcoming book releases, speculation videos, unboxings, and you're watching it right now, New Comic Book Day reviews. And that happens every Sunday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. So hit that subscribe button down low and the little bell to get notified every time I drop new content so you don't miss out. And now, without further ado, let's get started on the books. First up on the list this week, we have Image's Big Girls #2. I'm not going to be reviewing this like I typically do with my other books. I'm just going to flat out say it. I don't really like it. I didn't really enjoy this issue. It just felt like a little continuation off from the first one. It gave a little bit more info, not like a lot of backstory on anything. I usually give it 2 to 3 issues before I make my final decision. I'm going to be cutting this from my pull list. I wasn't really digging it. If you are liking it, let me know down low. Maybe I'll keep it going, but not feeling it. Next up on the list, Once and Future #11. I know I said last time I wasn't really feeling it. This one was pretty awesome, so let's jump into it. Once and Future 11 picks up exactly where the last issue left off. The Grendel is here, finally at the nursing home, and Grant and Duncan spend the entire issue fighting this monster. Nothing really else happens as far as the story progression goes, but it was really cool to see the whole action go down. Once the Grendel was finally defeated, one aspect to the whole entire series itself that I never really thought about was what the outside world really thinks about what's going on. You kind of saw Gran explain to everyone that they didn't really see what they saw. It was a bear, it really wasn't a monster, and you saw them kind of like, oh, alright, I get it. But the story progressed a little bit further, and the fairy tale itself wasn't over, and now it's time for Gran and Duncan to take on the mother Grendel. The one thing, honestly, about this series that I just love is the artwork. I think the artwork alone makes me want to keep getting this story. It's so well done. I'm still really not digging the medieval aspect and like the folklore theme to it, but I do like it though. I don't know. I'm going to keep getting it like I've been. I'm going to keep trying to enjoy it as much as I can, but I really do think it's the artwork and just the characters themselves that really kind of draw me into the story. So, next up on the list, we have 7 Secrets #2 by Boom Studios. This is another one that I'm just really enjoying, so let's go. 7 Secrets 2 is a very beautifully done issue in my opinion. The art just popped off the pages, the colors were bright and vibrant, and the story itself was very good. This issue followed Casper and his upbringing in the secret society. Pretty much everything that entailed living there, whether it was his training, everyone he encountered, it all happened in this issue. You got to see Sigurd and Eva, got a little bit closer with them, Casper found out that those were his parents, and you saw them just kind of interact throughout the rest of the issue. They got as close as they could and did as much training as they could, but at the same time they realized they couldn't get too close and attach to Casper. You literally saw Casper grow up in front of your eyes in this issue, and it brought us pretty much to where the first issue ended, with Casper finding out that something happened to his parents, and now he's ready for action. I really like how in this one, it's like, I don't know, they just gave a little bit more info, but not enough to give things away, and I just love how they gave the backstory on Casper. I think they're doing a great job with it. Boom, I'm really liking it. I'm not sure it's going to be anywhere near Something's Killing the Children levels, but I think it's going to be a great story. Next up on the list, we have Thor #7 by Donny Cates. This is cover A. I'm not a big fan of variants, and I don't typically get them, but I got cover B as well. I love cover B. So like I said, cover A, cover B. I'm going to put this one right here for you. This was a brand new arc. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about it yet, so let's jump into the review. In Donny Cates' newest installment of Thor, something just felt off to me throughout the entire read, but I think he meant it to be that way. Right off the bat, Thor sends the hammer down to Earth, and it's pretty much just to test Mjolnir because he feels that the hammer is corrupted, and it's been that way for a while. We don't find that out till a little bit later in the issue, but nonetheless, that is what he explains to Beta Ray Bill, who also makes an appearance later in the issue. But before that, Lady Sif has a small conversation with Thor through the Ravens. It doesn't really amount to much, but then Beta Ray Bill enters the chat and Thor lays everything down on the line for him. He tells him about Thanos, the visions, Mjolnir's corruption, and that he thinks this is all going to be a massive problem in the future. Despite the ass kicking that he laid down on Beta Ray Bill in a couple issues prior than this, he asked him to be second in command, and just in case if something happens to him, he'll be ready to take over for him in his place. Beta Ray Bill obliges, but he says he needs a new weapon. And that's kind of where that story fizzles out. After that, we go back down to Earth. Tony Stark made an appearance, most likely because he came out with a new series, but nonetheless, he is there. We get a little bit of comedic relief, but then we get a brand new first appearance of Adam Aziz as Thor. Do I think it's going to be anything? Absolutely not, but it is there. So I know Donny Cates does no wrong. I know the rest of his Thor arc has been incredible. Venom is phenomenal. But I don't know which direction they're going. I kind of have an idea and I really like what they're doing. But we're going to have to see how this one plays out. Overall, I thought it was a great issue. As always, I love everything he does. So moving on, we have Immortal Hulk number 0. I'm not going to be reviewing this one like the other one, Big Girls number 2. I didn't really like this one either. I didn't really want to pick it up to begin with. I know it had reprints of issues, I think it was 1 and 312, but my shop said it gave a little bit of backstory to this new issue. I didn't think it was necessary. I wasn't a big fan. If you love Immortal Hulk and just the Incredible Hulk in general, you might say, I thought it was cool. It was definitely cool. But as far as spending $5 on it, I could have bought a different book. Speaking of, I forgot to buy Dead Day number 3 today. I talked to a few people about it. I don't know how it slipped my mind. I forgot. I'm going to try and find it. I'll post a review on my Instagram with it. If not, the book's gone. Moving on. Now we have the Immortal Hulk 37. I thought this issue was great. And speaking of this issue, this is cover A. I get all the cover A's. I usually don't get cover B for this one. Oh, but I had to do it. I love Alex Ross Timeless Variants. I found it. It's awesome. Thank you, New World Comics. I love it. It's so nice. I love the issue as well. So let's jump in the review. So I went into this issue thinking I knew exactly what was going to happen. I thought Del Fry was going to make an appearance, he was going to turn into a big character, but no. The issue took a complete opposite turn. The leader was the main character, and it turns out he has had a plan this entire time. He has figured out the Green Door, he has figured out the Gamma world, he knows how to deal with it all now. He can go in and out of the doors whenever he wants and can control exactly how he wants things to go. So his game plan is to get the Hulk and Sam and everybody else that's important in the whole Immortal Hulk story that is involved with Gamma to be trapped in that whole green world, and then he can take control of everything. Super interesting issue. I really like where they're going with it, and as you can tell, the artwork, every time it covers the pages, it's absolutely beautiful. I love it, and I'm really looking forward to Al Ewing's next story. Al Ewing is doing such a great job on this story. I think it's fantastic so far. The artwork, as I just showed, is so good. I'm going to be really upset when this story ends. It's been one of my favorites so far. So, moving on, we have Iron Man number 1, another beautiful timeless variant. I did not get cover A, mainly because I got this, and there's all those other extra variants I got this week, plus a few other issues that I wasn't a big fan of. So I didn't want to splurge an extra $4 or $5, whatever this cost, to get the cover A. Really enjoyed the issue too, so let's get into the review. In the new Iron Man 1 series, you see Tony Stark try to go back to his original roots. It doesn't really go his way because he's, Tony Stark. But the series itself starts off with a big battle. He thinks he's doing a good job, he kind of saves a bunch of people, but in the process he causes a lot of damage. The one thing I like about this series so far is they kind of show like a Twitter feed throughout the pages, and it's literally just people dogging on Iron Man, saying he's this, he's that, he causes this problem, and he's pretty much just a nuisance to everybody, and they want Iron Man to go away. So you see Tony kind of have this midlife crisis. He kind of wants to give it up, but, he proceeds. He finds himself at a nice little dinner party where he meets Fuller Telhard. He proposes this new idea to him about him being able to control lightning. Tony brushes it off and he goes from there. He goes on a nice little mission with Hellcat, tries to stop the unicorn. It was okay, nothing too crazy, but then he gets hit by this massive beam of lightning. You don't really know what happens, but then the story caps it off with a picture of Fuller, and it's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to see where this one goes. So that was pretty cool, right? Definitely not what I was expecting. I wasn't really sure the take that they were going on this series. I didn't really know what they wanted to do with it. I didn't do any prior research on it, but I'm very, very happy with it. So, moving on, we have Stillwater #1, a brand new series by Chip Zdarsky. It's Image, ongoing horror series, so let's talk about it. In Chip Zdarsky's newest horror ongoing, Stillwater, we follow the main character, Daniel. We see him throughout the day. He works at a cubicle, loses his job, goes to the bar and gets pissed drunk, wakes up the next morning with a hangover, and that's when everything changes. Someone pops by his doorstep and gives him a letter saying one of his relatives has passed and he's entitled to a lump sum of money. Everything seems still normal on their way to Stillwater, but once they get a little bit closer, they realize things are getting a little weird. Him and his friend aren't really seeing any signs directing them to Stillwater. They base everything off their phone, like most other people. And then some people that they've encountered haven't really heard of Stillwater either. They decide to say screw it, they continue on, but once they eventually do reach Stillwater, that's when things get a little bit off. The townspeople are a little weird, something fishy is going on, and then they see a kid get pushed off a roof and he clearly dies when he hits the ground. Daniel rushes over to try to save him, takes him to a local doctor, and the kid just magically gets off the table and runs off like nothing happened. The doctor looks at him and says, "I can't protect you here," and that's when things take a turn for the worse. A cop comes and picks him and his friend up, takes him to the outskirts of town, and his friend gets shot in the head. You learn a little bit more info about Stillwater, where you can't really die once you're inside the town lines, so that's why they took him to the outskirts of town. Right before he was about to get shot in the head, Daniel's mother shows up and says, "This is my kid," and that's where the story gets cut off. Great new starter issue. Looking forward to the rest of them. Overall, I'm not really sure how I felt about it. They did a great job creating that weird atmosphere where you think you know what's happening, but at the same time you don't have a single idea. I think that's the way they were going with it. When I read horror, ongoing horror, I'm thinking kind of like a monster, bloody, something like that. But I just really like how creepy and mysterious this issue is so far. I was reading through it at first thinking, maybe I'm not really going to like this, and it's not really what I thought it was going to be. I don't know. I thought it was awesome. I can't wait for the next one. Chip Zdarsky, great job. I know you're going to kill it on this. You do great in everything else you do. And now, this is my #1 choice of the week. I'm having a really hard time putting this up right now. I'm just going to do it. There it is. ASM, Sins of Norman Osborn. All the shit I've been talking, everything I've ever said about this series, and it's completely changed. It's done a complete 180. Nick Spencer, I swear on everything, you've seen my videos, and you said, I am going to make a great Spider-Man series despite what AR Comics says. And I think you've done it, so let's talk about it. Sin Eater and his crew are coming for Norman Osborn, but so is Spider-Man. He doesn't think they can exist to each other, and Spider-Man is here to take Norman down once and for all. However, that's not the main purpose of the issue. I really like the route that Nick Spencer took on this because it picked up where the last one pretty much left off in the main run. So, all these spiders came together, and they were talking about the web of life, how they were all tangled up in it with each other, and they said they all saw the same dream, pretty much Peter Parker dying. However, it wasn't a dream, it was a vision, and they just saw all different versions of how it happened, but basically it all came with the same result, his death. So they came together, they said we need to save him, help him, do whatever we have to do, and they created a first appearance right here The Order of the Web. I don't know how important this is going to be, but this seems like something that could get spun across all different series. The Spider-Verse series, possibly the Miles Morales series, it also includes Spider-Gwen. This could be very big, just something to think about. From there, the issue continued on. Norman and Spidey actually teamed up a little bit. Juggernaut got released from Ravencroft. It turned into a big thing. Very interesting issue. Kindred made a few appearances, only in visions though. I'm looking forward to see what happens with this one. You can't tell me that this was not a great series, and he has done a fantastic job on this arc so far. I've talked to so many people that have agreed with me. They said, it's really bad, I've stopped buying it, we're almost on issue 50, and I've regretted buying like 45 of the issues. I kept going with it. This was awesome. This also had that great first appearance. I don't know. It's been a game changer. So now that I just talked about my number one choice of the week, now it's the time you're waiting on. My investment choice that I know you need to invest in. It's right here. ASM Sins of Norman Osborn. It was a great overall issue. The issue itself was fantastic. It was a great read. I love the artwork, but for investment choices, I've got to go with this as well because it created the Order of the Web. This could be huge as far as ASM stories go. We don't know what this is going to entail, but they can all communicate with each other, and this could be big for Spider-Man just as a whole. So now it's your turn. What do you think of all my choices this week? My crazy number one choice and investment choice. Let me know down low what you're thinking. Which one was your favorite book this week? Did you think Stillwater possibly was going to pull it away? Let me know. And with that, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that thumbs up. And just so you stay up to date on everything I drop, hit the subscribe button down low and the little bell to get notified. You won't regret it. And with that, have a good day.